Our environment is constantly changing, whether it's hot temperatures, severe drought, severe storms. We can't help but notice the physical damage it takes on our environment. But it's the earth that really takes the long-term damage that we don't technically see all the time. Whether it's the car you drive, the energy you use, or whether it's the car you drive or the energy you use, everyone contributes to the rising carbon dioxide levels, whether they know it or not. And while Americans may not always feel the effects, several countries around the world are feeling the effects every day. And the example that I'll be giving you today is about Antarctica and how it's feeling the effects of our rising CO2 levels that are given off by our addiction to fossil fuels, as Ron was saying. I believe I'm credible to speak on this topic because I am a biology major. I took several AP bio classes in high school, and I've gone through this research, gone through this process of analyzing our CO2 levels in just America as a country and how much we've given off compared to other countries. So to preview my speech, I'll be establishing standards for you to judge the rising CO2 levels on, and for you to just why you should care about other countries diminishing and how they're being affected by CO2. And then I'll be talking about Antarctica's main problems with the rising sea levels and their high temperatures, which are melting all of the sea ice. That brings me to my first point, that according to an EPA article posted in October 2012 titled "See the Impacts," the U.S. emits 6 million metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. Compared to other countries, that is a dramatic number. A lot of countries don't give off nearly that much. And if you don't know what carbon dioxide is, it's a toxic chemical. It can cause things like shortness of breath, headaches, suffocation, lung failure, stuff like that. It's given off by cars, by burning fossil fuels. It's given off by a lot of things. It can help with respiration, but in too high of quantities, it can kill, and it's very, very deadly. And it also depletes layers in the atmosphere, which causes higher temperatures. So according to an article posted on the Geophysical Fluid Dynamics Lab website, CO2 levels are expected to soar within the next 17 years. And there's going to be a severe temperature influx, mid-latitude summer drying, rising sea levels, and possibly hurricane intensity and frequency increases. Now, future generations that continue to live on our planet are going to be the ones seeing these effects. I know sometimes we do kind of complain about the Kansas weather and all that, and I know it's been like that forever, but it's going to get a lot more severe. There's been many studies done on this. So while we're the ones giving off all the CO2 and our population's increasing, we're driving all the cars with the huge mufflers and giving off all the CO2. You see the people driving around and they've got all this stuff coming out of their car and they just don't seem to care. We're the ones who are really increasing this problem. We're not the ones who are seeing it. And with higher CO2 levels rising, that's when the future generations are really going to start having big problems. That brings me to my second point, my second sub-point, that it's just our moral right to lower CO2 and to work as a country to help reduce our carbon footprints, because since we're one of the main countries giving off the CO2, it affects not only America, not only the North American region, it affects the whole entire planet. So I think that it's just a moral right for us to lower it. If we started it, we should fix it. That's what I believe. And America's always the one to start changes around the world, liberal changes. They're always the one to be out there and be free, and then everybody follows us. So I think if we really started to focus on reducing our carbon footprint, then a lot of countries would start to follow along and see it as a more important deal than we do today. So for future generations, I just think it's not really fair for us to have to put them in this kind of situation where they have to live in a planet that might be facing catastrophic events all the time because of our environment. That brings me to my second point, that with CO2 emissions being a huge part of our responsibilities as Americans and the country we live in, how much people we have in the country and our addiction to fossil fuels that we do have, we've already made a promise to future generations, to our kids, to their kids, that will kind of preserve our planet and protect it for them. That way they can continue to protect it, because once it's so far gone, you can't do anything with it. So I think that we should really start focusing on the places that are feeling this devastating effect the most. Like I said, while America may not have melting glaciers or severe temperatures all over the country, or we may not always have all of the severe storms, there are other countries that are really feeling the effects that we're not constantly aware of every day. And Antarctica is a prime example of this. My first point is that with sea ice acting as the world's AC, it reflects the sun and gives that off, and it keeps the earth cool and stable, keeps our environment stable overall, and it's not just, again, in that region. It helps keep our environment stable as a planet, and that's sea ice all over the world, and it's not just Antarctica sea ice that's melting, it's every chunk of sea ice all over the world. It's just diminishing, lowering in extent, thickness, and so yeah, with that diminishing, our climate is not going to be nearly as stable. According to a video posted by Greenpeace in this year, the ice will be gone in 17 years starting in the summer, completely gone, all sea ice. So it might come back in the winter very thinly, but in the summer it'll be completely gone. And then even after that, it won't even come back in the winter. It'll just be too warm for it to even form at all. The extent and thickness of the ice has changed dramatically. With every decade, it's decreased by about 10%. While it may not seem like a lot, that is a lot. So with that sea ice melting, it's going to lead to rising sea levels, which will lead to flooding, submerged land. I know you guys have all seen all the videos and movies of New York and Manhattan being flooded and snowed over and all that stuff. That's not just a dramatization, that's based on actual studies, actual finds by actual scientists. And it will also increase the ocean's acidity, killing off ecosystems, reefs, completely making species extinct that we now know today because they just cannot survive in warmer temperatures. And with the acidity, it would just kill them off. And it's a major threat to coasts all over the world. So in conclusion, I've told you the standards why you should judge this, why you should judge CO2 levels, why you should care, frankly, and how we need to value Antarctica and really value lowering CO2 and how we really need to make it a part of our lives. You can go and look up how you can reduce your carbon footprint and spread that knowledge, because if we all really think about it and we all find ways to reduce our carbon footprint, it'll make a difference. And yeah, that's my speech.
Thank you, Chasity. How about David? Oh, yes.